Okay, great. Well, here we go. Hey, everybody. I'm Maddie Stevenson. If you follow me at all, you would know that some of my main topics are around connection, around leadership, and around solidarity. And today I want to talk about the topic of immigration because, man, this touches so many of the things that I talk about. And I also want to talk about the idea of how we are trained to fight each other rather than focusing on the actual causes of our problems. And when I say trained, I mean people in positions of power, politicians actively encourage us to fight around topics like this while they do nothing, and actually point out they blame the problem on on other things rather than taking their own responsibility in their effects and our effects as a United States country on things, and our impact, I would say. And so I say this as in my town. We currently have the literal military deployed. There's helicopters flying over right now. I can hear them. There's military deployed in our towns across the county of Southern California that I live in. And there are police, there are military, there are National Guard everywhere. And there are literal military vehicles with machine guns on top of them deployed. And these groups are arresting people at farms. They are arresting workers who are literally in the middle of their day doing their jobs. And we have to talk about this. We have to discuss it. And today I want to actually debunk some of the myths around why we think this will do much good for us. We're told that by doing this, this will make our quality of lives better. And I am here today to kind of debunk that myth and talk a little bit about it. And I would love to have a conversation with anybody here in the comments or now or afterwards. And so, yes, we're talking about immigration. One, I will say, I think we have not had a sensible immigration policy, and we do need to have a sensible policy about how we let people into the country, people that are here having a path to citizenship, especially people that are contributing to society, people that are working, as I said, people that are getting pulled off of their jobs today, that are working, that many that are paying taxes while not being citizens. So I think we need a sensible policy. We haven't had one. But I also want to talk about the impacts and the causes of immigration, which we don't talk about. We're told that we need to blame these people for so much of our problems. And as soon as we get them out of here, that all of a sudden our quality of life is going to improve. So I want to talk directly today about that and debunk some of these myths. And not only is this happening around me, but earlier this week there was a Twitter post that got me going about this and got me thinking about this even before all of this happened in our area, which is very real. So the first thing I want to do is kind of pull up this post, and let me make it a little bigger here. And yeah, this is the post. It is okay. If people knew how much their quality of life would improve from deportations, it would be a 95 to 5 issue, meaning most people would be on board with mass deportations if they knew that their quality of life would improve. Now, one, this is just to me, this is a rage bait style post. It's inflammatory. It doesn't have any data to back it up. It is just designed to get people going. You'll see it has 2 million views. There's tons of comments, people giving lists of how they think things are going to be better. And okay, wow. So before we get into the actual things I want to talk about, the lists of here, the quality of life things that people think will change through mass deportation, I want to first talk about the causes of immigration, some of the major and the biggest causes of immigration, which we don't talk about. Again, we're told to point at the immigrant, the group themselves, rather than why. Why do we have so much immigration here? And so why do we have so many people risking their lives, risking their very lives to come to America to work, right? They're risking getting thrown in jail. They're leaving their homes, the places they were born, the places they were brought up, to make a big risk to come here. Why would people do that when they know they could get arrested, when they know they could potentially lose their life. And lately, when they know that they could get put in a prison for life without due process, why would people do that? I think we're told to think that, well, okay, people just come here because they want to be criminals. They wake up and go, well, I want to come to the U.S. and do crime in the U.S., or I want to just go, drain the system by being there and getting all the welfare, if you will. That's what we're told. When that is not the actual case. Let's be real here. Some of the causes of immigration, one of the biggest causes of immigration is war. War displaces entire countries, entire groups of people. Millions of people have to leave their homes to escape war, to escape death, to escape the impacts of war, the economic impacts of war, the social impacts of war, as well as to save their lives potentially. And the US, I hope everyone is aware at this point, is one of the biggest purveyors of war, if not the biggest purveyor of war in the whole world. We have conflicts across the entire world. We can list a bunch. We can list Ukraine. We can list all the places in the Middle East where we are actively facilitating war. That is in Gaza. That is in Iran up until a point. But let's not say that has stopped, because I don't believe that will stand. But we're facilitating military action in Lebanon, in Syria, in Yemen. So we have all these active wars going on, which is displacing people. People are leaving, and it's causing refugee immigration crisis across Europe and across the entire world. And this is causing people to come to try to get in here as well. Let's also consider the fact that the US is very well known for overthrowing other governments and other countries. So this means that when we like to exert control over a nation, over a region, and we go in there and we overthrow a government and we install a leader that we like, or leaders that we like, this also overthrows those areas, those countries, and it destabilizes them. So it makes it very hard for people to live. Again, and it makes it so hard that people will risk their life to leave their home and try to find a home somewhere else. In the same vein, we also have sanctions. Look this up along with everything else I'm mentioning. The US puts sanctions, debilitating sanctions, on multiple countries throughout the world. This causes major economic impacts. This causes major social impacts, and it causes suffering, enough so that people will leave their homes, make major risks to leave and to try to find a home somewhere else. So I hope you're getting the picture here. We're told to blame the person while not considering all of these impacts. We're told to blame the group of people when not considering all of this, our own role in creating the need for people to come here. And sure, is everyone that comes here good and trying to escape death? Probably not. Let's be real. Sure, are there some criminals that come here? Absolutely. But we're made to believe that it is all criminals, when in fact it is people just trying to have a good life, people that are trying to survive that are doing this. And I would say that's the majority of people that do it. All right. So now that we're here, let's get into some of this quality of life stuff. So there's a lot of lists here, and I put out a post here asking, hey, can somebody give me a list of how our lives will improve over this? And so this one came up. This is the list I want to debunk today. Let's go down this list and let's talk about these items here. And how I think just about every one of these is BS. And I would love to have a conversation with anybody, a genuine conversation with anybody who thinks otherwise. So let's start here. Number one, higher wages for Americans. Now, we have a broken system of pay in this country, of wages in this country. The federal minimum wage has not kept up with inflation. People on a minimum wage, it is not a living wage. Let's look at the other side. Who else decides what wages are given out and how much people are paid? It's the businesses themselves. So removing deporting a bunch of people, how can someone tell me how this is going to make the federal government, who hasn't increased the wage to a living wage, or businesses that are corporations with their number one goal and their number one driving force is profit. We live in capitalism. Profit is the number one driving force for businesses. So businesses will do anything to save money. That includes paying poverty level wages. So please tell me how removing hundreds of thousands of people that are contributing to society. Sure, I think everybody can agree that we might want criminals out of our society, but we are not talking about criminals at this point. There are helicopters flying around and military personnel rounding up people from their jobs right now. These people are not committing crimes. They are doing their jobs. They are likely paying taxes. So, again, tell me how removing them and putting them in prison is going to automatically make businesses want to pay people more and automatically make the federal government pay people more. How is that? How is that going to happen? I highly, I encourage you to tell me how. I would love to learn more. Seriously, less crowded public spaces. I mean, this is number two on your list. Really, out of all of the things that is important to you in life, being in a space that is not crowded is going to be number two on this person's list. I got news for you. I don't think that's number two on most people's lists of trying to live a regular life today. I think it's going to be something like being paid well, being able to afford a home, being able to afford healthcare, being able to go on vacations, being able to just live a healthy, safe, comfortable life. And so, one, I think it's laughable that this is number two, and two, um, yeah, I think we're pretty crowded as it is. So if you're talking about being in a large city or town, there's still going to be plenty of people there. I mean, yes, if we get rid of a bunch of people, yeah, could there be less? Oh, perhaps. Okay, but again, this to me is laughable that it's number two, and that it's even on this list. To be quite honest, less strain on public resources. Number three. So I think I see where this is coming from. Less people taking public resources will reduce the strain on public resources. Okay, that might very well be the case, but our public resources have been dwindling for quite some time. We have been having public resources pulled from all Americans for quite some time. And so, do you think that they're going to all of a sudden redistribute more resources because you got rid of people? No, they are continually, our government is continually taking more from people than it is giving. Look at the new bill that was just passed recently. This bill is going to impact healthcare. It's going to impact these resources that people rely on, and this is going to impact Americans, and it's going to impact everyone, not just people that are immigrants. So I would, yeah, let's take a look at this one in 6 months, especially if people continue to be rounded up and sent to prisons. If everybody feels like we're getting more public resources, I mean, do you really feel like the way this is going that all of a sudden governments and corporations that have been doing what they can to give us less resources over the years are going to all of a sudden give us more? Let's be real here. Less crime. This one is, of course, always pointed to for the immigrant conversation, right? We're told that all immigrants are criminals. And come on, let's be real here. One, that is absolutely not true. Let's also look at the fact that crime rates have been dropping across the board for the most part for quite a number of years. You can look this up as well. Crime rates have overall been dropping. It doesn't matter who's been in power. We're looking at both the Democratic side and the Republican side. Crime rates have overall been dropping to begin with. Now, let's also look at this. Are Americans not committing crimes? So you're saying that all of these people are committing crimes and you're going to get rid of them, which is one, just simply not true. Many people, the majority of people that are here are not criminals, and these non criminals are being rounded up as we speak. Again, people contributing to society, having jobs, paying taxes. And or what are we going to? How are we going to stop the Americans committing crime at quite a big rate? And so all of a sudden we think crime is going to drastically drop. I would be shocked to see this. I again, let's take a look at this one. If this keeps happening, because this is kind of ignoring the fact that the crime already exists. Crime did not all of a sudden happen because immigrants came along. Why do people look to commit crimes? Let's take a quick look at that. Um, People, for the most part, commit crimes because they are in dire straits. They need to do something to survive. They have no other option left. So I think one good thing that we could do to lower crime is to support people more and to give people more resources. And again, that is not something that is happening, and that's not something that's going to happen regardless of how many immigrants we have here, the way things are going. So yeah, that's a major one. And let's move on to 5. So increase access to healthcare. I almost laugh at this one because it is our healthcare system that is broken, not because immigrants are on the healthcare system. Our healthcare system is a for-profit enterprise where our government has the ability to add regulations, to make changes, to stop this for-profit system that doesn't really care if people get healthy or not, but just wants to extract as much wealth as it can from people. So our hospitals are collapsing. People in the medical field are under a lot of stress. Suicide rates for people that are in the medical field are astronomical. And so do you think that removing a bunch of immigrants is going to all of a sudden fix that system? I do not. It is a broken system no matter who is in it. And so people today fear getting sick. They don't have the support to get sick. And for example, if you are diagnosed with cancer, that could bankrupt your entire life. And so that has nothing to do with the amount of immigrants that are trying to get healthcare. It has everything to do with that our system is corrupt and it is run by people who want to make profit rather than want to make sure you're healthy and can live a healthy life, and you're not going bankrupt when you're sick. So I feel pretty clear on that one. Higher community trust. We are more divided than ever, in my opinion, here. How is mass deporting lots of people going to all of a sudden make us trust each other more? We're told by our leaders and our politicians that if we don't agree with each other, we should be enemies. How is trust going to magically improve when we're already divided on this very specific issue as well as many other issues? I find it shocking. We're going to need to do a lot more work to regain trust, and we're going to need to talk about these things. We're going to need to get real on the fact that we have been told that immigrants, for example, are the causes for all of our problems. We got to get real on this because it absolutely is not. And I'm hoping as I'm walking through this, this is becoming more clear to you. Less traffic. Geez, really, this is number 7 on the list. Less traffic. Really? It goes in there with number 2 with less crowded stuff. These are very similar. I would be willing to bet this is not high on people's lists. And 2, I would also be willing to bet that if you mass deport people, our traffic system is not going to improve. I live near the LA area. You really think traffic's going to be better in LA and other major cities because we're deporting so many people? I laugh at that. And if this is really important to you, I don't want to knock it, but I would be willing to bet you ask most people their top 10 lists of worries and concerns. Lots of traffic is not going to make the top 10. I would be surprised. Less illegal drugs. This kind of goes in line with the crime thing. Do you think immigrants are the only ones doing drugs? And we're also told that like drugs come into the country because of immigration. And I got news for you. A lot of Americans do drugs, and it's not because of immigrants. Americans were doing drugs well before immigration became a problem. And that's people all across the board. I mean, I would love to see if we could drug test all of our politicians. Let's do it. Let's drug test all of our politicians. Let's talk about that. And why are we, again, blaming immigration for our drug problems? Americans, 1, like to do drugs. And 2, why do people do drugs? Why do people drink for the most part? Yes, sure, some people like to do it to have fun. But many people do drugs to escape their reality, to escape the pain that they are going through, to escape and to take a break from this world that is getting increasingly difficult and hard to live in. So again, we're very good at following the pointing finger that says, "Hey, all our drug problems are because of these people," and to think that getting rid of all of these people is going to have less illegal drugs in the country, to me is laughable, because we got to solve our problems that cause us to want to do drugs before we can reduce the amount of drugs, in my opinion. All right, number 9, increase national security. Wow, I'm wondering who really like truly feels safe these days. I do not. We have multiple wars that we're facilitating throughout the world. We are okay with massacring civilians these days. The United States doesn't have a problem with that. Killing children is not something we defend against anymore. And so I just don't see how removing immigrants is going to all of a sudden make us safer. We are a bully in the world, a killing machine in the world, and we we facilitate violence all across the world. Do you think this is making us safer? Do you think that people that have had their entire families wiped out grow up liking the United States and having love for the United States? We are killing families every single day. So, do you think children that experience that and maybe grow up are going to think about the United States with love in their hearts? Um, uh, I personally don't think this is making us safer. Immigration is not making us safer. I think being a beacon of peace and prosperity in the world, a country that helps lift people up and gives people better lives, and is an inspiration to the world, is going to make us safer. Um, what we have done across the world for decades is one of the reasons why we are in danger, in my opinion. And so, to me, it's almost a joke to say that we're going to be safer because these people are out of our country now. I mean, I will. Yeah, let's see. Do people? We've been doing deportations for what? How 6 months at this point? Do you feel safer? Do you genuinely feel safer? I would be really curious to know. Okay. Number 10, lower housing costs. Again, how? How are our costs when our housing system is broken, when there is corporate control over the housing market, where corporations are buying up houses, where the interest rates remain incredibly high, and it is nearly impossible for most people to buy a house? How is removing immigrants gonna help that again? How is all of a sudden the cost gonna go down because immigrants are gone? I think maybe the argument here might be there might be more housing supply because there's less people because we got rid of them. I mean, how does that work? Do we get rid of the whole family and just someone takes over their house? What are we talking about here? Um, Again, this is a system that is broken where our politicians have control over regulations in this market, and in terms of our economy. And so, what again? How is removing a bunch of people going to change that? Our government, our elected officials that are here to serve us, are supposed to be doing that. And so, again, we're being told to blame immigrants for this. And when in fact we have a lot of responsibility and impact ourselves. It is not immigrants' fault that our housing market is effed. It's simply not true. Again, let's have a conversation about this if you disagree. All right, better schools. Again, another broken system. I bet a lot of immigrants work within schools that are probably going to be deported. And so, one, that's going to damage an already broken system where teachers aren't paid a lot, where curriculums are in disarray, where books are being banned, right? Where we're censoring information and history. And so, you mean to tell me that when we just deport a bunch of people, all of a sudden, magically, our school systems, which have tons of problems, are going to all of those problems are going to go away? Let's be real here. Let's be real. All right, number 12, more cultural cohesion. This is very similar, in my opinion, to community trust. And I'm a little suspect on this one because this one almost seems to think like, well, when we have less people of color here, they will be more white people, so we'll be able to get along more. Seems like that's what this person is saying. And wow, I mean, again, when we can't trust each other, when we're more divided, um, than ever, when we're more polarized than ever, how on earth are we going to have cultural cohesion in any way? It just doesn't make sense. And this is not the world we live in today, where yeah, you're going to mass deport a ton of people, and all of a sudden our culture is going to be more cohesive. Tell me the logic behind that, really, please. Higher patriotism. Okay, number 13 on this list. If I were to think about like high amounts of patriotism, I would think that patriotism comes when there is a solid mission that a country has that the majority of people can get on board with, where people are really feeling proud. They're feeling a really strong belief that this is right, like that we are doing good in the world, and we can be united around these things. And I have got to say, I don't see that that happening because we deport a bunch of people. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of people that are unhappy with so many of the things that are happening today, quite a lot. And so I don't see how we can have more patriotism when more and more people every day are upset with how things are going. I think we have more patriotism again when there's something to be inspired about and something that the majority of people feel really good about and can get behind. Things like being a beacon of integrity in the world, being a nation that lifts up their own people, but also lifts up other nations, that doesn't try to control the world, that is again an inspiration to the world for doing good in the world. And I unfortunately don't see that as where we are today. All right, more accurate census. Like, what is this? What I mean, I guess I can say I don't know much enough about the census to talk about this, but like, how is this going to improve my quality of life? Is this because how resources are just are distributed that by having a more accurate census is going to make better resource distribution? I mean, I'd be wondering if this number, this line item was on many people's list here for being really important in their lives. I really honestly can't speak to this one, but I'm like, well, okay, so we then have an accurate census, then what? Like, how does that my life improve because of that? Really, genuinely. And political power recentered around American interests, closing it home at number 15. Okay, political power recentered around American interests. Well, that's a pretty interesting statement because American interests are quite divided at the moment. There are people that believe that this act of mass deportation is good, and there's a lot of people as well that believe it is not. And so I think to get down to this issue, we need to really understand what American interests are. And yeah, we really need to understand that. I mean, political power right now is consolidated into one place in American politics. The Republicans have control over everything, and so I think political power is pretty centered at the moment. And I don't see like that as having a strong impact in my quality of life. I would be really curious to hear others' experience here. And so I guess if I really want to try to dig into this a little more, um, political power recentered around American interests. So I guess that would mean like, hey, like the majority of Americans believe X, and so we're gonna make sure that we focus on that and we work to improve those interests. Well, again, I think I'm gonna go back to the fact that we're very divided, and so I don't know how that is possible. And I also would really much add to this that when our entire government is overtaken by corporations and the wealthy and people that answer to donors rather than the actual American people, how can we ever have political power around our own interests? It's not today. It hasn't been in a long time, no matter who's been in power. So, yeah, I find this one interesting because I just don't see it when our entire when our entire government is taken over by corporate control. I just don't see it. So, all right, that is my kind of review, my debunking. I would, of course, always love to hear anybody's thoughts on this before or yeah, after the stream. If you're reviewing this, please leave something in the comments, and I'll just close with a few things. One, let's consider the immense cost of these operations and the energy that is put into all of these mass deportations. Um, how is this going to solve our problems? We are committing a massive cost to this, and all of these organizations, the ICE agencies, and so many of these other Homeland Security have just gotten a huge increase to their budget, billions and hundreds of billions of dollars, and I mean, we are putting workers, not criminals at this point, into prison. There's hundreds of military personnel all around our streets right now, hundreds, maybe thousands, and just in our area, I mean, where I live. All of these energy and all of the energy of people coming out to speak against it. I mean, what? Imagine if we put all of this energy into making things better. This is not going to make things better. I hope it's clear now based on all the things I just went over. So let's just think about like the use of our resources and time. And is this something we should focus on based on what I just went over? I don't think so. Another thing, I really want to just talk about the idea of blame and responsibility. I started it with this. I'm going to kind of be one of my closing items. We are told to blame people for so many of our problems. We are told that these people, these immigrants, are the cause of so much of our problems and so much of the impact of our quality of life. When that is just absolutely not the case. And if you're going to point the finger and blame someone, I would expect that you also have an ownership and some of your responsibility in the matter, where you can say, actually, as a politician, blaming an immigrant for these problems, I have control in policies and regulations that I can help enact that would change some of the causes of immigration, that would change some of the impacts of immigration. But instead, we're told, here's that finger point, it is their fault. And so our politicians have more control over our lives than immigrants do, yet they just never take responsibility for that. They're saying, look over here rather than at me. And so I think that's something really to consider. When you have someone blaming anything on anyone or any group or anything, always look at the person pointing the finger and ask what is their responsibility in this? Because everyone in every situation has some responsibility. It is not a 100% on one side and 0% on the other side. It never is. Last, I want to just I've been getting a little bit into philosophy a bit these days, and there's a philosopher called named Immanuel Kant who has a famous quote that says, "Dare to think." We have really got to get better at stopping just believing everything we hear. Um, hearing that it's all these people's fault for the problems that we have. They want us to believe that. They want us to go, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it is their fault. Dare to think whenever someone tells you to blame someone else, think about the person pointing the finger. Think about all of these things I just talked about. Really sit down, use your mind. Let's not believe everything we hear on social media. Let's not just take as fact everything we hear from any of our politicians because they're bought and paid for. They do not care about us. They only care about their donors. Dare to think, really. I think we need to get better at this. We need to really consider this in everything we do. Think our own thoughts rather than just believing something that is being told to us, but especially by somebody in power. And so, yeah, all of these things, these things affect all of us. And the people in power have the ability to make changes. And it's mainly them. They have the ability to, as I said, put regulations in place, make changes that will improve these things. But they're not doing it. So they're the ones that have a lot of the control unless we make demands to change the system. We will never get there. And this is my main point. We are being trained to fight about this in this big thread that I was just looking at with these 2 million views on this thread here. We're being told to fight about this amongst ourselves when we're not really questioning the people that really have the ability to make changes here. And so we need to demand changes to the system. We will never get change if we are all fighting each other about this while the people in power do nothing about the actual problems and major causes of immigration, which we have an impact on, which we are influencing throughout the world. So I will close it with that. We need to stop fighting each other. This affects all of us. And the people in power love when we fight about this with each other rather than questioning them, rather than saying, hey, actually, you have a say in this. You have ability to make changes, but you're having us fight each other over this and telling us that our lives are somehow going to get better when all of these people are gone. Why are you telling us that? It's all their fault. So again, dare to think, question it when blame is cast, and question it when we see threads like this where we're all fighting each other rather than getting anything done. Because that is exactly what they want. They want us to be fighting. They want us to be spending all our time and energy fighting each other rather than questioning them. So, if you got this far, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll be having more on this later. I'll continue to be talking around about these things. I'll be continuing to do posts like this. So, if you enjoyed this at all, please just yeah, give me a follow, give me a like on this, and yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much, everybody, and I will see you all again in the next one. All right, bye.